quick. I'm just going to do a super quick kind of talk about, since we've talked a lot about the management tools and technologies throughout the day, I just want to quickly highlight a couple. We've already talked about the spreading advisory, the manure application kind of program, and the application risk management worksheet, manure application setback distances, Google Forms, record keeping in our website, and speaker series. I'm just going to kind of touch on these a little bit. And in particular, I just want to go over our website and just show a few things. So this is that wadairyplan.org, so our Washington Dairy Plan. So this is where all that info is, and I just want to highlight a few things on here so that you can see them. And in particular, the Dairy Nutrient Management Plan tab. This is where all of your facility storage and management, maintenance, emergency protocols, nutrient management, mortality management, calibration of manure equipment, nutrient testing and field sampling. A lot of it's been talked about today. You can find that information up here. Manure transfer and record keeping. So pretty much everything the speakers talked about, you're going to find complimentary information on our website. That application risk management program that I talked about, here are all of those guidelines and all of the different links to all of the pieces that I talked about, so that you can find those for the setback distances, the manure spreading advisory, and that ARM system. The learning resources, this is where, since we didn't want to, print out a ton of stuff and give you a mountain of paper, if you need any of these guidelines that were talked about today, under learning resources and then that publications and articles, this is where you're going to find all of the different things, this nutrient management for field corn, silage, and green that Andy was referencing, as well as the manure ones that are going to be up here. Information on digesters for calibration of manure application equipment, field management, irrigation management. We've got that info here for you, a link to the irrigation calculator. And in particular, some of that nutrient application information, manure application rates for forage production, and the nutrient testing. In particular, understanding the manure test report. So a lot of what David talked about, how do you figure all that stuff out. So all of these guides are here for you to be able to go and use as references when you need them. So they're all online. If you want to copy this, if you don't have access to get these online and you don't have a copy in your nutrient management plan already, just let us know and we'll print one out. You can pick it up or we'll mail it to you. So we're more than happy to get you this information if you need it. But it's up here, and as new ones become available, we'll get those up here and posted. And so we try to keep this updated very regularly so that you always have good information. Another thing I mentioned earlier about our dairy speaker series, and on the Whatcom CD website, if you go under dairy, we've got a lot of the information that's on that new web page is also on our website. It's just a little bit harder to find here. The other one is nice and trimmed down, so you can find just the information you need. But if you go to our speaker series page, this is where you can find information on that. And one of the surveys that you have is a communication survey. And we'd like to know, what are you interested? Have you heard about the speaker series before? Actually, in this room, who's been to at least one speaker series event here? Wow, hey, that's pretty great. There are a lot of you. That's wonderful. We'll keep it going. So the more people show up, we can convince the Dairy Federation and Products Commission and all those guys to keep giving us a little bit of money so we can keep it going. The district as well supports that in WSU Extension. So the more people we get, the better. And so just to give a little plug on what's coming up, actually in February on the 19th, Derek Hunt and Chris are going to be talking about some of the tools you can use. So going a step further into like that irrigation calculator for specifically for here for Whatcom County, as well as something called NLOS, where you can actually do kind of a real-time evaluation of your nitrogen content losses on your field. So you can see where is it going and when. And these are all kind of web-based tools, things that you can start to utilize at home. They'll kind of go through to try to break it down and make it a little bit easier and give some utility to that. And then we've got advances in dairy calf care. And then this one is blank. Amber's coming. She just hasn't figured out how to actually design what her talk is supposed to be. She's got it all in her head. I don't know if any of you had the chance to meet her, but Amber Progar is the new dairy extension specialist out of WSU over Pullman. So she'll be over talking about essentially how do you make your farm an open community farm again? How do you bring, instead of making dairy feel like it's a bad word, how do you make it so your community supports you against all odds? So kind of talking about that. It should be a really neat talk. So we usually do these for a little while. We did them all year round. Now we just go through April, knowing that after that you have things to do, and one of them is not coming to a speaker series. But of course, we give you a free lunch. It's about an hour and a half. And we'd love to see you there and continue that in the future. So just a quick plug for that. One other thing that I want to talk about that's kind of a neat technology is, has anyone here used Google Forms before? We got just a couple. So Google Forms are pretty neat. I don't know if you've got that. Okay. Thank you. So we've created, this is an example Google form of what you can do. So this one is created, it's an application rate calculator. So this is, if in the field, if you want to do, figure out how much you're applying, right then in the field, you can do this. And what's neat about Google Forms is that you can do this for your manure application, you can do it for anything. And Google Forms is something that everybody can fill out this form. You just give them a link, your field man, your manager, your kid in the tractor, whoever it is, and they just fill out your little form and your information, and it goes into one spreadsheet. 10 people can be filling this out at the same time. It goes into one spreadsheet that's a master that you can see at any time. So it's neat, and you can think about that utility for now, how could I utilize that? And it's free and extremely easy to set up and utilize. So just as a quick, if we're doing this application rate calculator out in the field, I would say, what is my location? And I've got this set up for whatever total volume of manure collected. So I've got my little pan. I've collected 1,000 milliliters. I had 2 pans. I knew my little pan area. My applicator speed, 2.1 miles per hour. So some of these things you've already set up, and I'm just going to kind of breeze through them, but I can show you how to do that. You're using a splash plate. Your manure nitrogen value, you've already tested this ahead of time with some type of an in-field monitor. Let's say it's 10. Your hose length, and then you click submit. And it just says, thanks, that's great. But what happens is on your Google Drive, you've got the ability to see what was just entered. So you've got all of this record that you can see, who did what and when, and all of the information that's in there. But what's cooler is that you can also have a calculation page that does real-time calculation for that. So that you can see, I've set this up so the first column is application rate and then total nitrogen applied. So you can see right here the last entry is the one I just put in, and 8,000 gallons per acre, I'm applying 88 pounds of nitrogen. So that's really good to know. Be able to, in the field, do that. You say, oh, I should speed up or I should slow down. So if you're able to complement that with doing some calibration. So this is just one example of that, how these forms can work. But like I mentioned, you could do that you could just have this form say fields, application day, weather, application amount, and then enter, click. So you've got your field guy saying, I'm on field 2. I'm applying at 6,000 gallons per acre. you know, on X acres. So whatever it is, and you can just have it as a record keeping system. So the things that Sherry mentioned earlier this morning that we need to do, you can just quickly have all those together. So, and then last one is monitoring your rainfall. So we have rain gauges available. We ordered a whole bunch. They were supposed to be here yesterday, they're not. But if you don't have one already, we have those for free. We always bring them to our speaker series events, so you can pick one up anytime, or just stop by the office and get one at any time, and you can have those. And then, of course, we already talked about the weather forecast. So with that, are there any questions on some of the technologies? The last thing that I want to mention is the research opportunities. So I'm always looking for folks who are interested in working on research. So the only way that we can produce these types of tools and everything else is having farmers who say, yeah, I'd like to work with you guys and help out for the good of the whole. And we protect, of course, your identity and all those things. That's what everyone's most concerned about. And we do a really good job on that. And something that we're developing right now is called Discovery Farms. And this is primarily looking at surface water and ways that we can assess current practices and discover new ways of doing things. And so we're always, if anyone is interested in participating, please let me know, and we can just talk about what that means and what you're interested in doing. And so it's nice if our community as a whole can kind of interact with us on this, and we get real results and interact with folks. So you can just talk to me at any time about that, and that would be awesome.